Willie D Live.
What's up, family? The third week of the Diddy trafficking trial continues today in a New York federal courtroom, and the drama continues. Family, you know, anytime they put an LAPD officer on the stand, it's going to be hard to believe. Listen, fam. We've seen so many cases involving LAPD, so many dirty police officers, and this is not me trying to ride for Diddy. Damn. I'm just calling a strike and a ball a ball. I would be remiss to not mention LAPD's long-standing sordid history of lying in the courtroom. If you can recall, there was another big case that was considered the trial of the century when O.J. Simpson was on trial, and you had this lying, uncivilized mutt named Mark Fuhrman, who turned out to be a racist and a liar and a thief and everything else under the sun. And this dude never spent the day in jail. He was planting evidence and everything. Let them tell it. They already had a strong enough case, but he wanted to make sure. So he decided to plant evidence. Yeah. So anyway, I don't trust LAPD. Well, I don't trust, none of these police departments. But LAPD, man, they got a special concentration of some uncivilized mutts over there. Hard to trust them, man. So this brings us to the prosecution calling LAPD officer Christopher Ignacio on yesterday as the first witness of the day. This dude was asked about a 911 call on December 11, 2011 at about 8 a.m., which he describes as code 3 with lights and sirens to a Hollywood Hills address. The address is Scott Kid Cudi Muscuti's house, the location of an alleged break-in by Diddy and associates, and where Cudi's car was later destroyed by a Molotov cocktail. Ignacio says a Cadillac Escalade was present when officers arrived. He also says he memorized the license plate of the Escalade. He became suspicious by the way it left as soon as we got there, he said. He said that they found the front door of the residence unlocked. Inside, officers found expensive watches, purses, some of which were gift wrapped. He said 2 detectives arrived, and he said he saw the same black Escalade driving down the hill. Then Cudi arrived in his Porsche. Ignacio testified he ran the place of the Escalade, which came back as belonging to Bad Boy Records. Let's stop right there. He said he memorized the license plate of the SUV as it drove away immediately after they arrived. He's a cop. He's pulling up at the scene of a crime, and he just lets the truck drive away. The potential suspects, the truck carrying the potential suspects, just drive away? You don't just stop them? He's a Keystone Cop, this Top Flight or something? And he said he memorized the license plate. Okay, I got it for that moment you memorize it, but then you write it down immediately after, before you forget. Remember, he's going in to do some little investigating, You don't want to mess around and lose that information, so you write it down. At the very least, you record it or you type it in your phone or your computer. They have computers while they're rolling around, They got computers in their patrol cars. So, in any event, I just don't believe them, fam. See, one thing that I am going to do is be consistent about testimony from law enforcement. LAPD, I'm going to be consistent. It don't matter if it was Puff or anybody. I just don't believe them. I never believed them. because I know what they do. LAPD, man, think of any corrupt police department you know. Now, tenfold it. Tenfold their wickedness, tenfold their corruption. Boom, that's LAPD. You can 100-fold it for some departments, 1,000-fold it for some departments. LAPD is as corrupt as they come. I don't believe them. So the defense asked for a mistrial because the arson investigator who testified, he testified that the Molotov bottle, which was, they said it was a Old English bottle, had partial female fingerprints on them. And he tried to insinuate that there was prints from a previous burglary of Kid Cudi's home where Diddy was involved, and that somehow those prints came up missing. So he tried to insinuate that Diddy had something to do with the missing prints. And that's why the defense asked for a mistrial. The judge sends the jury out so that they can have a discussion or whatever, and bring them back in and tell them, hey, forget about those questions. Those little questions that you heard right before you left, forget about that. Wipe it out of your memory. It never happened. Let's move forward. Yeah, it won't be a mistrial. That ain't gonna happen. They got too much invested in this. We got to walk this puppy. Yeah, they got way too much invested in it. Now, if dude really did write those license plates down, the thing about it though is that that's an obstacle that has to be overcome. There are people who believe anything that a cop will say. They're trained to believe a cop would have no reason to lie. After all, they're out there to protect the public. So there might be a juror or two, even more, that might believe that cop really wrote down the plate of, or memorized the plate of that SUV that belonged to Bad Boy. And based on that, they going like, hey, this the guy, he owns Bad Boy Records. If he wasn't in the car, it was owned by him, which means that any crime that took place with that vehicle, where that vehicle was used, then it happened at the behest of this guy right here, Sean Diddy Combs. So that's how they're gonna run that play. So the trip part about courtrooms and trials in the US, these cases, you just never know. There's so many variables which will determine how the outcome of your case. You got race, you got gender, you got sexual orientation, you got money, you got no money, you got celebrity. And it is very difficult to find a juror who has not heard about the case of a celebrity. Celebrity get accused of something like this, a RICO charges. Somebody as popular as Diddy, one of the most popular people on the planet, you're gonna hear about it. So if they get on the stand and act like they don't know who he is, they lying, especially if they're in New York, they're from New York. They know the song, Call Me Diddy, Run This City. They know who he is. At the very least, they've heard of him. They may not like his music, may not jam his music, but they know who he is. Even if they don't know anything about the music, they've heard of him. How they get to do the Key to the City. Anytime something like that happens in New York, they do it big. It's media everywhere. So yeah, they know. And so anybody that get up on that stand and act like they didn't know who he was automatically lose credibility with me. But a mistrial ain't going to happen anytime soon. In fact, a mistrial is not going to happen at all. But the prosecution, they are putting some stumbling blocks up now. The defense got some work to do. They're starting to lean toward RICO with this questioning and with the witness statements. Yeah. But what say you, fam? Do you think the prosecution is proving its RICO case? Are they proving it? Not have they proven it, but are they proving RICO? Give me a thumbs up. Thumbs down if you say, nah, man, it ain't even close. Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. No more talk.